Core on this company. Okay. All right. Hi, my name is Pierce Robinson, and um, I appreciate you taking your time for allowing me to take this project on you. So, this project I'm doing for my business and professional communications class is a career research interview where I interview someone on the a dream job I would like to do later in my career. Um, you being involved in interior design and a project management styled career. I'd like to take my career as a student here at Texas Tech and be able to influence that and grow it through taking a major in business management. If you don't mind, would you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
My name is Christopher Alexander, and I actually graduated at Baylor University in interior design. I've done interiors for almost 15 years now,
Okay.
so a long while. Interiors started, I think, just as a fun thing I wanted to do because it sounded easy, and it's kind of evolved over the years and continues to evolve.
Okay. Awesome. Um, yeah, that's definitely quite a long time. That's You've been in interior design a lot longer than I've been in school for sure.
For sure.
So my follow-up question to that is, what is your daily routine like in your career?
Usually everything starts with my calendar and managing crews and workrooms. With what I do, we focus on high-end residential and on individual households in general. So I will either work with an architect or a builder from ground up, starting with the concrete. And I'm almost the client's liaison between them to ensure everything on a project goes smoothly from start to finish. Basically, their eyes. And so in the mornings, depending upon how many projects I have, I kind of have to juggle my day between site visits here locally, or if I'm going to be doing out of town visits, which will take me anywhere across the country.
Okay, awesome. If you don't mind me asking, what's a few of those spots you do travel to outside of Texas?
Currently, I have a project in New York and in Arizona. I have a new one kicking off in Aspen in January. I just finished a project in Mississippi, and we have a long-term project that will never end in Louisiana. So that's a client that'll just keep on chugging along.
Hey, more money into your pocket.
More money.
So a follow-up question that I'd like to ask is, what do you love about your job?
I like the day to day. There's not a specific routine. I struggle as an individual being stuck in a rut or just a continuous circle. So I like that every day I can wake up and it's somewhat different. There's something new being thrown at me. I'm a problem solver. I like to figure things out. So I mean, there's a new problem every day. I get to stress about, noodle on, and get to the bottom of.
Right. Zero procrastination on your end is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm not a big procrastinator. There's too many people waiting for me for an answer.
Right. Um, so a follow-up to that is talking about procrastination. What do you enjoy the least about your job?
Um, Lack of efficiency. I have too many things going on a day to day, and so when you come in contact with a vendor or a builder that wants to take or use my time, but then doesn't take the time to actually listen or take notes. And so there's a constant follow up because they didn't pay attention the first time.
I get that. Just almost like a lack of respect for your time and
Yeah.
everybody else's time. So you'd kind of previously talked about it before with you going to Baylor and being interested in interior design. So how would you say you got to where you are now?
Um, Relationships. I started out in restaurants when I graduated. That's what I did my internship in, doing restaurant interiors. And I thought that's what I wanted to do in my first year doing that. I completed completely hated it. I hated the schedule, bouncing things around in order. Restaurants, you can only do work at night
Hmm.
when the restaurant is closed. So it's kind of a intense 8 hours every night for a client that is typically trying to beat you down to do the most for the least amount of money. Because restaurants are all about cash flow coming in and not really spending anything. The designer I used to work for, she used to say all everything in the restaurant industry is just smoke and mirrors.
Hmm.
Because they will push you to make you look like they're the best, and then um, there's not really anything behind the facade in a restaurant. So there's not a lot of creativity. And then there's so many chain restaurants that once you do it, it's just you're stuck in a routine recreating the same look 30 times for the same client.
That's fair. I mean, personally, someone who currently works in a kitchen for my college job right now, getting me through bills and everything, I can definitely understand the exploitation of income that
Right.
kitchens like to do. Um, Following up is how did you find yourself involved in a project management style career?
Um, I think it evolved with dealing one on one with clients on such a when I moved into residential, you build a more personal relationship with the client.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily want to say family. Some clients feel like you are part of their family because you see them more than they even see each other sometimes. Um, you become on such a personal level that they rely on you for so many decisions. And so you end up balancing more than just interiors at my level in my field. You balance their lifestyle, their schedule, when I can get people in and out of the house, problem solving on last minute events and what needs to be done before they have an event at the house.
Mhm.
I kind of have graduated myself to if I can sell it, I'll do it. So it added about 10 more dynamics to my day to day because everybody knows they can just pick up the phone and somehow Chris will be able to get it done.
I get that. Um, so seeing as you're quite tenured into this field, what advice do you have for someone wanting to be in a project management style career?
Pay attention, take notes, and listen. Um, I think make sure your head is always open to evolve and don't get stuck in the day to day to where you will end up falling behind.
So you'd say adaptation is a key factor to take
Adaptation.
away.
You always need to adapt and evolve, and then learn to bob and weave.
Also learn to deal with the Karens from time to time, I assume as well.
You do.
Um, Another question I have
You
is
can deal with them. You just can't ever say that out loud.
right. Yeah. Never can call them the Karen, but you always
Never can
can.
call. One of the greatest things I think I've learned working with some of the people that I work with is listening and trust are the two biggest things to keep your client long term, and just being able to adapt, um, to realize and put yourself in their shoes, when you're in that house.
Mhm.
And then when you go to the next client, you're going to be in a completely different situation. And so you kind of have to adapt to them as well. So you have to be open and flexible to even I have my own style and aesthetic. Every household is different, personality wise, psychological wise, and being able to realize that,
Mhm.
I think, will bump you to a higher place.
Yeah. Would you say it's difficult to come in with an unbiased opinion from wanting to introduce your aesthetic, but also meet the client's aesthetic for a household?
For some people, for me, no. I'm really good at reading a client
Hmm.
and knowing what they're looking for, and then that's when the psychology side of it comes out because what they're actually telling you they want is typically not exactly what they want. And so if I ask somebody to give me, hey, give me a stack of pictures, I need at least 20, I can figure out in those 20 pictures what they actually like. And it's not really the blue room that's in three of them, it's some minute thing that's in the background or a feeling they're getting from the space.
Right. Almost in a sense, the theme of the room you could kind of pick up or pick apart.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So follow up to that is what should I be doing, or what would you recommend I now be doing in college to succeed in a project management style industry?
I think figure out now what you want to do life wise.
Hmm.
And that's a big heavy thing, but where do you want to be? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to end up? All of those ideas and thoughts just stirring around in your head kind of drive you into a direction. I knew growing up, I didn't want to end up in Katy, Texas. And I kind of knew I was either going to live where I live now or I wasn't going to live in Texas at all. But Houston ended up being a very lucrative place financially with a good economy. And I don't know, somehow I stayed on path and I created my own goals to get me exactly where I wanted.
I got you. No, I completely agree. I know I personally want to go back to Houston once I graduate from here. I know the greater Houston area is a very vast economy in construction, interior design, project management itself. There's always going to be business somewhere in the greater Houston area.
Houston is a economy that doesn't really have an industry right now. So whether you're going to be a builder, a banker, a financial manager, oil, or a tech person, like there's not one area that there's not a career for somebody in Houston. And it's an economy that's so diverse now that it doesn't really have, knock on wood, a failing point. So when the rest of the country hits a spot where it starts to struggle, Houston doesn't really have that anymore.
I gotcha. Um, so next question I'd like to ask you is, was there a class you took in college that really prepared you for being in a project management style career?
Um, and at Baylor, when I was in the interior design program, we had what were called they were just interiors courses.
Hmm.
An interiors course, as you got to your later years, were 2 days a week, and they were 3 hours long. And you would have projects, and your projects were almost like real life projects where you had 6 months to complete them. And that when you turned it in, that was your final. Um, what was great about the interiors program is even a week before your final was due, they would drop a completely new aspect on you about the project, which would be a huge change
Hmm.
where even last minute you had to evolve to figure out, okay, I'm not a procrastinator. I've already finished my project and basically I have to start over because of this one change.
Hmm.
And so it taught you that you did have to change your mindset. You couldn't be stuck on one idea. You had to be open to a big shift last minute.
Hmm.
And then so it also made you start the next project when you started interiors. Then you went from fall to spring. You went into spring thinking, you know what, maybe I should have started without just this tunnel vision from
Hmm.
start to finish on my project, because if you went in more open minded, it would have been easier to adapt at the end.
I gotcha. So it almost sounds like procrastination is a gift and a curse to this kind of career because by taking your time to
Any career,
any career, but to this career specifically, you could say that by taking a little bit extra time almost, you can allow time for if the client wants to change, you're not going to have a finished project and then have to start from scratch. But by also having it done on time, if a client doesn't change their opinion or perspective of something, or even want to change a minute detail, it gets it done
right,
quicker.
right.
So, at least from what you had said, it sounds almost like a gift and a curse in a way, but most of the time, a gift in a sense. I can't speak for myself, but I know you have much more experience in the industry. But would you say clients tend to change their opinions quite a bit during a project, or once they kind of get the idea and the theme, they just let you roll with it?
It's that's where psychology comes in again. Every
Mhm.
client is different, and some clients, I have some projects where I've only had meetings with clients twice over 3 years, and we would install an entire project without them ever coming to the house. And then I have clients that want to be involved in every single meeting every single day, and they can't make up their mind. And so they don't really realize it's them making the project more difficult because they're hiring somebody, but they don't fully trust to let go. And and the end product is actually going to be the same whether they were there or not with us and the way we run our firm. So it kind of at the end they kind of feel like, well, they got there because they were there the entire time versus they actually just spent 3 times as much because they took up 3 times as much time.
Right. Yeah. Coming back to the more difficult clientele that never wants to be easy for anybody on any end.
Completely.
Um, so follow up to that, what opportunities helped you specifically to get where you are now?
um I think people taking a risk on me,
Mhm.
I think, is my only way to answer that. um a lot of how I get to where I am is just somebody taking a risk and trusting.
Right. Almost having a little bit of luck, but also a little bit of suave with different clients and employers.
Right.
Well, follow up to that. How many companies have you been a project manager for?
I've only in my entire career only worked for 3 companies since college. So I did restaurants for a year. I worked with another interiors firm for 7 years, and then I've been with my current firm that I'm now partner with for 10 years.
And the current company you're with is JRandallPowers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Um, Follow up to that. How long have you been at your current company? I'm sorry. You just said 10 years. I apologize for that. This one I have a personal curiosity about. What is one of your favorite projects that you have completed?
Um, Probably my Louisiana one that I mentioned will never be complete. It was a 4 year ground up project.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting clients that I've learned a lot from, very successful. Flew to Louisiana once a month for 4 years. And I don't know. It was interesting. It was a different culture in Louisiana. It was a different project in general where everybody was there to do the best they could do because they were so proud of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, even I think, took something from the project to where they learned because they had never built anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really gave back.
I got you. Almost a sense of gratitude for completing that.
Gratitude and pride.
I got you.
Everybody was so proud of what they had created because they had never even
Mm-hmm.
worked on that. So even the client took a risk with local builders to see if they could actually build that. And I mean, it was just a gracious client, patient. Um, he almost wanted them to have just that experience by
Mm-hmm.
taking a risk on them.
I got you. Um, a follow up to that. How many projects do you manage on average at a given time?
Between 15 and 20. Right
Okay.
now, we have 22 active projects.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are me in the office, my business partner. We have 2 accounting and 2 assistants. And so we kind of juggle that between all of us. And then we each have the 2 partners have our projects that we're both a part of, and then projects that we handle on our own. So it's kind of a big juggle.
Okay, I got you. So, I mean, it sounds like you definitely got your plate full with projects galore. I mean, personally, I got 5 or 6 projects for college, and I feel like that's already a lot, but you got 15 plus on average. I mean, that's just incredible in my opinion of how you can even remotely handle all those projects at one given time.
Takes a crazy person.
You could say, yeah. Um, well, crazy ain't crazy enough. How long did it take you to get your name out there to a vast clientele base?
Um, the longer I've done it and the more, I mean, with once I became partner, I was probably 4 years ago. Before that, the company's name that I'm with now kind of had a strong reputation. And
Mm-hmm.
then just as I became working one on one with specific clients, it's all everything we do is word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So there just became a stronger referral and clients asking for me directly.
Okay. And does that give you almost like a sense of pride and I guess you could
Very
say
much
like a
so.
little bit of an ego boost for knowing clients
Very,
specifically select you?
yeah. I would say more pride. I think it's very important to stay humble.
Okay.
Um, I'm I'm very proud that I've gotten to the level I am, and I'm thankful every day that everybody puts so much trust in me. I think it's very important to never let your ego get too high,
Mm-hmm.
because you can lose it in a second.
True, true. Almost enough ego to where it gives you a sense of confidence, but not overt confidence.
Correct.
I
Correct.
got you. Um, so one of the last questions I have for you here is, do you have a favorite colleague at your work establishment, one you can work with on any project and it goes smooth or in any shape or form?
I would say my business partner Randy and I are pretty hands-on and can rely on each other for most things.
Mhm.
Answering questions, bouncing ideas off of each other, um, keeping each other calm when we're both about to have a mental breakdown.
Right.
Kind of my go-to, and I'm kind of his go-to.
I got you. Two crazy puzzle pieces that just sync perfectly.
Uh-huh.
Keep you,
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes, sometimes those pieces are forced together.
Hey, they make it work though.
Yeah, they always make
Awesome.
it work.
Awesome. Well, again, Mr. Alexander, I appreciate your time so very much. And again, I'd like to say thank you for taking your time out of your day.
You're very welcome.
I know 20 minutes never seems like a lot, but in a career like yours where you're constantly having to be busy all the time, I know 20 minutes can just feel like a blink of an eye almost sometimes. But again, I'd like to say thank you so much for your time and allowing me to interview you for my project.
You're very, very welcome.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much.
All right. Good luck.